All right, guys, this is the only video you're going to need for fantasy football week 10. I'm going to walk you through each position and give you all the optimal starts at each of those positions, giving you the roughest matchups and the best matchups at each of those positions. And I'll give you guys my suggestions as well, along with the latest news and notes to get you guys fully up to date for fantasy football week 10. If you're new to the channel, smash it, tap it, slap it, hit the thumbs up. Brand new to the channel, hit the thumbs up and turn on that bell. The only channel giving you the truth to help you guys win your leagues. Guys, I'm super excited. Fantasy Football Week 10 is in. Man, there was the election yesterday. I don't know if you guys ended up watching that. I ended up watching it. Very interesting. Congrats to Donald Trump for winning. Now, whatever side you're on, understand that he's going to try his best to make America great again. So if you're an American, you should just be happy that he's working his best to make America great again. So good news for all people that were rooting for Trump. If you're not, just, understand that, you got to live your life and do the best you can. And you cannot let, a presidential candidate completely dictate how you live your day-to-day life, okay? So, I haven't heard any of the fantasy football sheep congratulate, and I would have done it the other way as well. If Kamala won, I would have said congrats to the new president. Just come out and just congratulate. Just be like, hey, man, you won. It is what it is. So that just happened. So congrats to him. And drop a comment below, guys, if you have any starts and sits questions, and we'll get right to the content here, okay? A couple of things in the news I want to mention here. Dak Prescott. Where is Breaking Brad this morning? Where are you?
We now have breaking news.
Breaking Brad was up all night watching the election results there, so it took a couple seconds there. But a couple quick things. Zach Moss is out for the rest of the season pretty much with the neck, and Dak Prescott with a hammy, he's going on IR. And there's a couple different moves that happen, small things here and there, nothing that's going to be huge, but a couple things that may be worth mentioning. I'm not really excited about them at all. For example, we have, who do we have? Mike Williams goes to the Steelers in exchange for a 2025 fifth round pick. Mike Williams sucks. I'm not really excited about him at all. Derek Carr has been confirmed as a starting quarterback for week 10. Derek Carr is going to be quarterback. I understand he's getting a lot of flack right now for throwing the ball up, causing a concussion. That's what they're saying, that he threw the ball up, put Olave in a compromising situation, and it is what it is, man. It's like, I don't think he meant to do that, but a lot of people are giving him a hard time for that. Just worth mentioning as well. Cade Otton doing really well. Some notes here, obviously, with the banged up wide receiver core in Tampa Bay. There really isn't anything that's jumping out. Drop any questions if you have about injuries, but make sure you guys monitor that. And I will be doing a last-minute news and notes, of course, before game time on my reels and shorts. That's why you got to turn on the bell, okay? So let's start off with the optimal starts at each position. There are, I think, 4 teams on bye this week. That's going to be Cleveland. We're going to have Cleveland, Green Bay, Vegas, and Seattle on bye week this week. So you need to be aware of that. Make sure that if you have a designation for a bye week, make sure you guys sub in the right players so you guys are good to go, okay? So let's start right off here with the quarterbacks. Guys, the optimal quarterbacks to start this week. And understand, just because a quarterback has an optimal matchup and you have, let's say, a better quarterback, for example, who do we have here that's kind of okay? Like Bryce Young has one of the easiest matchups versus position here, right? If I have Bryce Young on my team and I have, let's say, Matt Stafford, who's been more consistent, I'm probably going to start Matt Stafford, even though he's got the third hardest matchup versus position. So you guys got to make the right decisions. But this is going to give you a visual guide here, and I'm going to give you a verbal guide if you're listening in the car on who the optimal starts are and who the rough matches are at each position. We're gonna absolutely rip through this, okay? So you guys are fully prepared. You can come back, freeze the scene, take a look at this chart. You can see this algorithm. It's very, very accurate in regards to toughness of matchups at each position. So Sam Darnold, great matchup. Brock Purdy, Daniel Jones. Now, Sam Darnold is playing Jacksonville. You should absolutely light him up. Coming off a 22-point week, 18-17. Very safe start. Like I said, Brock Purdy versus Tampa Bay. Daniel Jones versus Carolina. Another good matchup coming off a hot 25-point week. Awesome stuff. You can see here, guys, this right here is the last 3 weeks, how they did in fantasy points. Like Burrow, for example, great matchup versus Baltimore. I think that's a Thursday nighter. 30 points last week, 14 the week before, and 15 the week before that. So these are the past 3 consecutive weeks. You can get a visual display on how well they're doing fantasy points. Why? It's all, it's all right here for you, okay? If you have any questions, drop them below. Again, Jalen Hurts, Derek Carr, both great matchups here. Lamar Jackson, obviously a must-start. Bryce Young, if you're desperate, 2 quarterback leagues may be a consideration there, but I'm not really looking at Bryce Young. Jared Goff, Detroit versus Houston, great matchup. Josh Allen here, Buffalo versus Indy, great matchup. Obviously, a must start. Aaron Rodgers in two decent matchups. And then if I don't mention them, guys like Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, who's been on fire, all mid-range matchups, as you can see here, okay? Now, the guys that have it in tough on paper, Drake May, Jaden Daniels. Obviously, you're not going to want to sit Jaden Daniels. He's been pretty solid throughout the year, as you can see last 3 weeks. What do you have here? 20 points, 25. He had a 5-pointer. I think he got banged up that week, but past 2 weeks, very consistent. Matt Stafford, third hardest matchup versus position. Kyler Murray, Pat Mahomes, Joe Flacco, Mason Rudolph, Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence, all tougher matchups versus position. Again, it's up to you guys to make that executive decision. If you're torn between two quarterbacks, your bench guy and your starter, you can make a better decision starting the right person this way, okay? Very, very important that you start the right person because it is week 10. It's a must-win situation. You got to get on it. All right, let's move on to the running back position, the ever so crucial running back position, which I'm very fortunate. I went robust RB, and my running backs are looking great. Derrick Henry, Saquon, taking me to the fantasy football playoffs this year. It's going to be amazing. And I told you guys, robust or bust. This is the channel giving you the truth. Everyone else is drafting like consensus. We tell you the truth here on this channel. So let's move on to the running back position, and we're going to filter it here by the guys with the optimal starts. And there you have it here. Tyrone Tracy, good matchup here versus Carolina. Saquon Barkley, obviously a must start. And he's going to a great matchup versus Dallas. Love to see this as I need more wins as we get towards the playoffs. DeAndre Swift, great matchup here. We got Chicago versus New England. Jonathan Taylor, great matchup versus Buffalo. We've got Blake Corum, Kyron Williams. Now, Blake Corum obviously not getting the points here, but Kyron Williams, great matchup versus Miami. They just list all the running backs here. You can see. We've got Aaron Jones, great matchup this week versus Jacksonville. Bijan, another one of my running backs I've got in another league. I've got him comboed with Henry because I drafted earlier in that league, so I had to get him in the top 6 picks. In other leagues, I drafted Saquon because I was drafting later in the draft. But anyway, either way, Bijan, great matchup, 22, 22, 26 points the past 3 weeks. Amazing stuff. One of the best running backs in the game. Breece Hall, great matchup, coming off an 11-pointer last week. He's got to start stepping it up. He's against Arizona. Jordan Mason, now there's talk about CMC possibly coming back. Monitor that. We got Mason banged up. Look at the situation here. See who you're going to start. Garendo having a 19-point week last week. If, Mason's banged up, CMC doesn't come back, Garendo's a must start in regards to matchup here. J.K. Dobbins and Stevenson, all decent matchups. Now, again, if I don't mention them, they are in a mid-range matchup. And if they are being productive, guys, if a player is being productive, if they're being consistent, you got to start them. Start your guys that are getting the volume. Do not sit those guys. Use some common sense. Common sense is a huge factor in starts and sits, okay? Guys that have it in tough at the running back position, Javonte Williams, Tony Pollard, tough matchup versus the Chargers. We got Zeke Elliott, who's pretty much done at this point. Rico, he didn't show up or he was a scratch last week. Rico Dowell kind of stepping up here, 22 points. He is playing Philly, but it is a tougher matchup. ATN looks like he's kind of taking the reins here, even though he started kind of last week. He still had a 5-pointer. I think they should be running Bigsby. He's the better out of the two. Jameer Gibbs Montgomery do have a tougher matchup versus position versus Houston, just so you guys are aware of this. It's all about being aware. You still got to start either one of those two. Joe Mixon, tough matchup versus Detroit. Chase Brown, he's still a must start, 30 points last week. It's a tough matchup versus Baltimore, but based on volume, I still think he's going to get it. You got to start him. Kamara, tough matchup. Brian Robinson Jr., tough matchup. And Derrick Henry, 11th hardest matchup versus position you can see here, but you're not going to sit Derrick Henry. He is a must start, okay? Moving on to the wide receiver position here. And when we're looking at wide receivers, it's been absolutely volatile, man. There's been ups and downs. Wide receivers by committees, a lot of guys busting, not getting it done. Guys like Tyreek and other guys stepping it up. Guys like Ladd McConkey a couple weeks ago had a down week. Last week, Quentin Johnson stepped up. If you picked him up on waiver wire week 10, congratulations, could be viable, but he's very up and down, very hard to trust. But let's take a quick glance if you're having a hard time making a decision at the wide receiver position, just so you have an idea of how tough their matchups are on paper so you can make the proper choice. And again, if you do have questions, guys, I'm going to leave a little thing here. It says, drop your questions below. Smash thumbs up and drop your questions below. Okay, guys, this is very, very important. All right, Jamar Chase, good matchup here. We've got Who else we got? Brian Thomas Jr. had a down week last week. And I don't know what was going on, man. I had Brian Thomas Jr. last week. I ended up tying because he wasn't getting the volume that he deserved. But they got to start feeding him. He is their best receiver, especially with Kirk being out. He should be getting the volume. But Parker Washington, for some reason, is getting a lot of volume. I don't even know who that, like, what was this bottom feeder? Give the ball to Brian Thomas Jr. Like, don't be ridiculous, okay? Jefferson, Addison, must starts. Great optimal matchup here versus Jacksonville. Awesome stuff. Amon-Ra St. Brown, must start here versus Houston. He's a must start either way. Other guys that got good matchups, Tank Dell. If you're wondering if you should start him, take a look at Nico Collins when he's going to be back. But to still Tank Dell's wide receiver field there. It's his game right now. The other guys are all banged up. Diggs is out, you know. Tyreek Hill, great matchup coming off a 12-point week. He's been very safe the past couple of weeks, even with the return of Tua. Hasn't been phenomenal. We got, Ricky Pearsall was a consideration for a waiver wire pickup. He's got a good matchup this week. Juwan Jennings banged up, as you can see here. Injury designation. Make sure you guys monitor all that. Just Google your player. Just go Juwan Jennings news. I can't look up every single one's injury. Not all these guys are on my teams, but I do check it. I will give you guys an update on the latest news prior to the game start on Sunday morning. So make sure you guys turn on the bell. I do a shorts and reels on that for sure on all my social platforms. So make sure you guys are following. Okay, but Ricky Pearsall, good matchup. Khalil Shakir, I think Keon Coleman's a little banged up. I don't know if he's playing. Amari Cooper banged up. Khalil Shakir must start. Good matchup versus Indy. Chris Olave, obviously, I think he's going to be out. Concussion protocol. They don't have much options here, man. Cedric Wilson, it's going to be a bit of a mess there. But they got a good matchup, whoever's starting at wide receiver there versus Atlanta, okay? A.J. Brown, a little banged up. Devontae Smith, they do have a decent matchup, though, this week, okay? Guys that have it in tough, Lad McConkey, I got him in a league. I may still start him. Him and Quentin Johnston have it in tough versus Tennessee. These are, again, tougher matchup. DeMario Douglas, Pop Douglas, 11 points last week. Tougher matchup versus Chicago. Cooper Kupp, again, a must start, but third hardest matchup versus position here. I'm still, if I have Cooper Kupp, I'm still starting. I'm not going to sit him at all. 24 points last week. Amazing stuff. Puka having some on-field issues, punching a player last week. It was pretty wild to see, but I don't know. And Puka's a bit of a concern to me. He's a good player, but with the punching and the injuries and all that stuff, he's definitely a concern for fantasy here. Josh Downs, tough matchup versus pitchers. Seems like he's emerged as the one. If you look at the past 2 weeks, particularly 12 points, 25 compared to Pittman, what a bust. And I avoided Pittman. I was like, dude, Pittman is like just not that good. And people were drafting him in the third round. I'm like, not a 16-round recommendation. Tougher matchup this week. We got Marvin Harrison Jr. coming off of 4 points. He's been extremely volatile this year. I say if he has a big week, you want to trade him. And he's got a tough matchup versus the Jets, but extremely volatile. And I don't think it's his fault. I think he's good. I think he ended up dropping a pass last week or whatever it was, or fumbling, that is. But I think he's really good. I just think that Kyler Murray just sucks. I don't think Kyler Murray's good. So I don't know. My quarterbacks make wide receivers. I'm a total believer in that. Hopkins, KC, 29 points last week. He looks like he's emerged as the one. Again, very easy to do considering there's no competition there, but he's a tougher matchup for his position, but you still want to start him. 6th hardest matchup, though, just to be aware. Calvin Ridley, very hard to trust, but someone's going to catch the ball here with Tennessee. I think he's going to be a boring start, but he's got some ceiling. 8th hardest matchup for his position, be aware. Cortland Sutton, tough matchup. It seems like him and Bo Nix have now built a connection. Look at that, 26 points last week, but does have a tough matchup. I would still start him. Zay Flowers, I think he's still a start, man. Look at this, 33-22. Someone's got to catch the ball in a good offense. Now, they're going to integrate Deontay Johnson a little bit more this week, so look for him to get some volume. But I still think Zay is the one, just based on the rapport that he's had for years with his quarterback, Lamar Jackson, okay? Terry McLaurin, also a tough matchup, but you cannot sit him. Just being aware of who's got it in tough is really going to help you guys make executive decisions, okay? Very, very important. I want to move over to the defense and the tight end. I'm going to combo them together. If you are new to the channel, make sure you guys smash, tap it, slap it. And very important, guys, head on over to mybookie.ag. This is the site I use. This is the site I trust for all of my sports bets, guys. This is an amazing site. Use code FFC. They will double your first deposit up to, guess what, guys, $1,000. So if you got 1,000, guys, this is very important. Sorry, if you got 1,000, they'll give you 1,000. So like free play money, right? Mybookie.ag, go enhance that game watching experience. That's the site I use, the site I trust. Go in, get on the action. And I'm also giving you guys my picks as well. The Counselor's Edge, if you guys want the edge. I've been perfect the past 4 weeks on the primetime games against the spread and straight up. If you guys want my picks, head on over right here below to the Counselor's Edge, and the place you want to play on is mybookie.ag. It's a match made in harmony here, guys, okay? Mybookie.ag, code is FFC. Go create an account, put in a deposit, and of course, get my picks at the Counselor's Edge. I've linked them all below. All right, let's get to this, guys. Let's get to the tight ends here. Let me pull up the tight ends. And tight ends, start your best tight end. There's no dicking around here. You want your best tight end, the guys that's going to perform well, the guys that's been solid, the guys that's been consistent. Now, when I look at this, guys, with tight ends, I mean, Theo Johnson had a safe week last week. Is he a start? Great matchup. I mean, someone's got to catch the ball there at tight end. So Theo's kind of the guy here. Just take a quick look, just to get an idea who's got the good matchups here. Geno Smith coming off a safe week last week, 10 points. Good matchup. George Kittle, good matchup. Taysom Hill, he's very rushing touchdown dependent. So I would be a little cautious with him. Very kind of boom and busty there. Just be aware. Other guys here, Mark Andrews, good matchup versus position. Hawkinson, he's back, good matchups versus position. Dallas Goedert, he's a little banged up here, but good matchup versus position. Gesicki, he's a must start, coming off a hot week last week in a great matchup. Gesicki, good matchup. Guys that have it in tough, Dalton Schultz, Sam Laporta's got it in tough, and we got to check the status. I think Jameson Williams is reinstated, so look for him to decline. And I was going to say sell high on Laporta, but he had a down week even with Williams out. So Laporta, man, I would see if I could dump him off. Maybe you get something there. Jake Ferguson, man, tough matchup versus. I'm still starting him. He's gonna eat. Now, mind you, the quarterback changed with Cooper Rush. I'm wondering if that's gonna help him or hurt him. Gonna be interesting. I'm putting him in my lineup. Hopefully, it works more towards the upside, more volume. Parkes has got a tough matchup, coming off only 0 points last week. And Kelsey's obviously a must-start, tough matchup. And Cade Otton, both these guys have tough matchups on paper, but definitely must-starts, okay? Let's go to the defense here. We're going to do them together here, defense and tight end, like I said. The defense is with optimal matchups to start, and if you want to consider streaming them, guys, Chargers, great matchup, as you can see, versus Tennessee. Panthers, Bears versus New England. Falcons, I really like this matchup here. They're really banged up, the Saints. So Falcons, good matchup here. We got the Rams versus Miami. We got the Giants versus Carolina. Jags versus Minnesota, not so much, but you never know. Eagles versus Dallas, love them if you have them. And Patriots versus Chicago could be good as well. Bills versus Indy could be a good as well, too. Okay? So, but those are, as you can see here, those are the top defenses to stream. If you're new to the channel, guys, smash it, tap it, slap it, hit the thumbs up, and drop your stars and sits questions below. The only channel giving you guys the truth. And we are looking at must starts. Make sure you start the player that's being consistent regardless of the matchup. But it's also good to know how tough the matchup is to make that executive decision. At the end of the day, if you're torn between two players that are both consistent with both good matchups, use your gut feeling. It's usually right 90% of the time. Not an actual statistic there, but from my experience, if I'm going with gut, it always works out if I'm torn on two players, okay? Questions, drop them below, hit the thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell, and I'm going to keep you guys up to date. Fantasy football week 10 is here. Start them, sit them. Make sure you start the right ones. Have a good day. Lion mentality on out.